The Long Road to True Happiness by WierdRandomTina. Chapter 15. Music Mystery. Princess Poppy was feeling extra optimistic about Branch's progress yesterday. He had finally given one of their activities a try. Even though it was a very minor event, and he didn't leap right into the action, she knew that was still a significant level up from the reserved troll. And even if he was willing to attend a small social gathering, who knows what else he would be willing to try? Scrapbooking? Attending a dessert buffet? Visiting an amusement park? Maybe I could even get him to try. So today, Poppy went out on a limb and made that bold suggestion. So I was thinking that for this visit we could try... Bear with me for a minute here. Try a little bit of singing together. Yay! Branch's heart dropped to the bunker floor like a giant stone. You have got to be kidding me. Everything had been going so smoothly. Their time together was peaceful, comfortable, and even enjoyable. Maybe not perfect, but certainly close to it. And now she had to throw this at him? He spoke through gritted teeth. No thanks. Poppy disregarded his answer entirely. I have the perfect song in mind for us. Don't worry, it's not cheesy or sappy. Just very simple, short, and... No, I'm not singing. Despite his being as curt as possible, she was insistent. Come on. You said I could choose today's activity, and I choose singing. Just give it a try. It's not a big deal. Trust me, it'll be fun. No, I don't want to. Branch turned away from her as he felt his blood start to boil. Poppy misinterpreted his behaviour as plain stubbornness, which only fueled her persistence. I'm not asking you to enter a singing contest or join a choir. Just try a verse or two. All right, how about this? I'll sing and you can be my backup. Quite sure I said no. 3 times. Then how about I do all the singing and you just hum or whistle along? Reaching the breaking point, Branch spun around and shouted at the princess, What part of no are you not understanding? Poppy took a step backward, his bad temper hitting her like a frigid gust of wind. He had been so contented lately that she had almost forgotten his original attitude. And now, out of the blue, here it was again, returning to maximum power. And it was over such a simple thing. She found herself raising her voice at him. What I'm not understanding is why you refuse to sing. Branch started to walk away from her, toward the hallway leading to his storage rooms. Because I don't want to. Poppy quickly followed, determined to figure out exactly what was going on with him, once and for all. I don't get it. Why do you hate singing so much? He stopped in his tracks so suddenly that Poppy almost bumped into him. His hands were tightly curled into fists, but he didn't turn around. I never said I hate it. He practically spat the words out. If you don't hate it, then why don't you want to do it? Because I don't want to. Yeah, I got that. But why don't you want to? Singing lifts your spirits, makes your day brighter, makes everything so much more fun. I bet you would feel so much better if... Branch whipped around again, snapping right into her face. Singing will not make me feel better. It's the reason I'm miserable in the first place. Poppy took 2 steps back this time, perplexed. Not only by his unimaginable statement, but also by the deep anguish in his voice and eyes. What do you mean? With blurry eyes threatening to overflow, Branch bolted away from her, down the hallway. It was an automatic response, but he was instantly aware of how stupid it was. It's not like he had anywhere to escape to. His trembling legs didn't have the energy to carry him all the way to his intricate emergency exits. After reaching the dead end by the painting room, he gave up, letting himself sink down onto the sandy floor. Poppy was frozen as Branch disappeared around the corner. She had never seen the grey troll almost cry before. She had only ever known him as lashing out or cold shouldering. took a few seconds for her shock to wear off and her brain to start functioning again. The first thing it told her to do was to go after Branch, and she complied. Poppy knew it was risky to continue to poking around after an outburst, but she couldn't just abandon him, like she did during their troubled third visit. She had caused tension between them, again, but she hadn't just annoyed him like the last time, or the other previous times. She had really upset him, and she had to at least try to make it right. Maintaining a light jog, Poppy was expecting to have to search rooms to locate her friend, but instead, she found him out in the open at the end of the hallway, kneeling on the ground. Her pace slowed as she took in the heartbreaking sight. His shoulders, head, ears, hair. His entire body was wilting. She swore his skin was even duller than usual, as his form nearly blended into the surrounding shadows. No troll should ever look so utterly defeated. She approached slowly, unsure if Branch was oblivious to her presence or ignoring it. She knelt down in front of him, his half-lidded, unfocused eyes staring down at his knees. After a moment of silence, Poppy repeated, as gently as she could, "What did you mean by that?" Branch could not look her in the eye. If he caught even a glimpse of her face, a beautiful face that would no doubt be full of compassion, he'd be unable to hold in his tears. However, he really didn't desire a repeat of their third failed visit either. So he softened his tone and said in a whisper, "I don't want to talk about it. Please." His plea was shaky and full of raw sadness. The fact that he was clearly fighting off tears almost made some form in Poppy's eyes too. Her earlier urge to make him talk had long vanished. Although she still couldn't wrap her head around his insistence on keeping his thoughts contained and emotions heavenly guarded, it didn't matter right now. She wanted to help Branch, and that meant supporting him in a different way than she did with all her other friends. The grey troll had been alone for so long that he wasn't used to sharing his feelings with someone. And that's not something Poppy can just snap him out of. Heck, getting him to lightly chuckle had taken a week. As long as she let him set the original pace, they got along well, and Branch would make some progress. But every time she tried to rush said progress, it would cause a setback instead. He'll open up to me eventually, but not today, and not likely any day in the near future. Whether I understand that or not, I need to accept it, or nothing will ever change, and we won't be able to stay friends. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to, Branch. But you don't have to be alone either. So, whenever you are ready to talk, I'll be here to listen, and to help in any way I can. You can tell me anything, whether it's a silly little thought, or a 2-hour rant. You don't have to be embarrassed, or nervous, or scared. I know it makes you uncomfortable, but it really does help to open up about things that are troubling you. Poppy slowly reached out her hand and rested it on the back of his. Branch visibly tensed, but didn't move away from it. She kept her gaze on him, and he kept his gaze off of her. After half a minute, he quickly swiped a single tear that had started to escape, cleared his throat, and shuffled away from her, whispering, "I need to be alone." The princess's natural instinct was to stay and comfort him, but if she insisted on doing so, it would certainly result in another quarrel, and the last thing she wanted to do was upset Branch even more. She wasn't admitting defeat by leaving. She was respecting what he wanted. She was doing what would make him feel best. so Poppy nodded gently. Okay. Bye. Stood up and headed for the exit, glancing sorrowfully over her shoulder before turning the corner. Before she even reached the elevator, Branch already regretted his decision to tell her to leave. Poppy's concern was indeed making him uncomfortable. But now that she was gone, her soft pink hand no longer touching his, her sweet voice no longer in his ears, he felt hollow. Yet Branch couldn't chase her and ask her to stay. His legs wouldn't allow him to stand. And even if they did, his mouth wouldn't have allowed him to speak. Eventually, no telling how long exactly, Branch managed to heave himself to his feet, drag himself to his bedroom, and flop down onto his bed. His head was spinning over what had transpired. Guilt at the getting into another stupid fight with Poppy, misery over the tragic memories she had dug up, longing for the touch of her hand and her angelic voice, annoyance at her persistence for helping him, appreciation at her persistence for helping him, anger at himself for still being unable to control his temper, anger at her for stirring things up, anger at himself for blaming her, just to name a few. But rising above all that was fear. Did Poppy take his blunt dismissal as him not wanting to see her anymore? She didn't say, "See you on Wednesday," or anything like that. A 2-word farewell? That's not Poppy. She never says just 2 words. Ever. What if she's finally fed up with me? Even an optimistic person can only take so much. Why can't she just stop trying to help me? Why can't I just let her help me? Why can't... Branch lost a couple of tears here and there, but held most of them in as usual. He was stubbornly determined to ignore the pesky lump in his throat and the burning in the corners of his eyes. After a while of sulking, he headed to his paint room. A small blank canvas quickly became a scene of him being closed in by dark vines of despair and heartbreak and rage, while another filled up with violent abstract scribbles of all shapes and sizes. But neither really helped him vent his pent-up pain. Poppy was distracted for the rest of the day, to the point where she was finding it difficult to maintain her fake cheerful act. A couple of trolls questioned if she was okay, to which she responded that she had a headache, which wasn't a total lie. A minor one was present, but she wasn't about to elaborate on what had caused it. One of Poppy's greatest and well-known specialities was her ability to bring happiness and comfort to others. She was always able to make everyone feel better. Everyone, except for Branch. All she tended to do was make him feel worse, and that made her feel so useless, being unable to offer him something so common and basic. She couldn't stand to see him so depressed. She'd give up all the glitter and sprinkles in the world if it would help her solve this. Poppy had always viewed Branch as a stubborn and cranky. Now, especially after this incident, she was learning that it was much deeper than that. Branch tried to appear tough and uncaring, but he had tons of complex emotions and thoughts built up inside. No wonder his paintings are so dark. I can't even imagine what it must be like to feel that way inside. Those scenes make me feel down just looking at them. It can't be healthy to keep all that to himself. Clearly he's struggling with it. I wish he would just confide in me. You need someone to help you through your problems. That way you're bearing part of the burden for you. The optimistic pink troll still wished he would give her singing a try. She was confident that it would lift his spirits, even if it was just a bit. She still couldn't imagine why it bothered him so much. More so than anything else. That was one of the biggest, strangest mysteries revolving around him. And Poppy had the gut feeling that it was the missing link to finally, fully understanding him. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. But, oh my god, that was sad. But as Poppy has figured out, it's the start of Branch's trauma. She's tapped into something he wasn't ready to say yet, but she's picked that up. Her maturity here is amazing, and his reaction is completely understandable. But at the same time, it's not a good situation. But it is good that they're letting it out. They have to let these things out, and then reconfigure from them. Because you can't rationalize these emotions. They're too precious, and they're too complicated and painful. I say they're precious because they are. If you don't have complications in life, there's no depth to it. In my opinion, anyway. You guys know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.